Welcome, everyone. My name is Kris Kimball, and I am excited that you would pop on and join us tonight because I just was barely in Egypt 7 days ago. Okay, so I'm fresh. I'm fresh from that Egyptian experience, and I'm super excited to share some of the things that I saw and heard and learned about. But I've been to Egypt. This is probably my fifth time, and each time I've learned something new, and I've been so excited about the depth of information that can be found there because Egypt has been a place of learning for thousands of years, okay? And we get excited about seeing these amazing, iconic structures that were built. And this is a big debate on exactly when they were built because we have a traditional time frame, but then we also have what people think is even an older time frame. But we're excited that you would join us tonight. I'm a part owner of Legacy Tours and Travel. Jill is conducting our meeting tonight. Technically, she's doing all the tech stuff. And her husband Mark are the founders of Legacy Tour and Travel, and I partner with them. And then I've got my best travel buddy, Scott, who is on with us, Scott Palmer, and he is from Watcher Palmer. For those of you that are familiar with his podcast, Scott and I have traveled to the Middle East before, to Israel, and we love working together, and we love this part of the world. And I'm really excited to be joining with him in Egypt and all the cool information. This is definitely a holy land, and there's lots of biblical references to this part of the world that is in our scriptures. And so it's going to be a really fun experience for you to understand that aspect and how important it was to the Holy Family when Jesus was born. It was their safe haven, their refuge when King Herod wanted to destroy and get rid of Jesus. And so it's been a very important piece of land and a place of knowledge, a place of learning, a place of wisdom for thousands and thousands of years. Okay. And so you are going to have that opportunity to go and see, explore, and to understand some of that wisdom and knowledge and try to incorporate that in how you live your life. Scott, do you have anything you want to add before we start looking at our pictures?
I really do. I have something I want to add.
Of course you do.
Okay, so I've traveled with Kris to England and Scotland.
Oh.
We've traveled to France, southern France. I have a little retainer I just got today, so if I sound a little funny, that's why. And her knowledge of a different way of looking at things, and I'm talking about Kris, her knowledge is so amazing on looking at things a little bit differently than what we're usually used to. And us, as most of us, not all of us, but most of us will probably come from the LDS culture. And particularly Egypt is so important to our culture, with the Book of Abraham, with everything that we have in there. And Kris has spent a lot of time studying these things, studying the temple, studying the divine feminine, and all these things that I know this is going to be an exciting thing. And then with Jill on with this, we've traveled to Egypt,
Yep,
Israel,
yeah,
Jordan. And so we have a really good connection. And personally, I love the Middle East. And I include Egypt, like you brought up, as part of the Holy Land, every bit as much as what we consider the Holy Land, the land of Israel. But Egypt's, it's in fact, what we're studying right now in Come Follow Me has all pretty much, other than the creation and the part of Genesis, but for this whole time period, for the last few weeks, we've been talking about things that have taken place in Egypt and the land of Goshen and all these things. And we're going to go to these places and see these things. And we're going to see the traditional sites, but we're also going to go to places that a lot of people don't get to go to. And we're going to learn some things from Kris and others that will enhance everything that's in our culture, and you'll understand things better. So with that, I think we could get in with the pictures and kind of talk about some of these sites. I've only been to Egypt twice, but I love reading about it and studying about it. So I'm anxious for this trip.
All right, Sacred Mysteries of Egypt. Okay, they are sacred, and there's so many mysteries. We won't even be able to uncover all of the mysteries that are in Egypt, but we're going to give it a good shot, and you're going to see some of the most iconic, spectacular places. We designed this tour. In fact, Scott, how far down into Egypt have you gone?
So we went down to
Did you make it to Aswan before?
Aswan,
Okay.
and then went all the way, spent the 2 or 3 days on the Nile. We went to but we started at Aswan.
Okay, good. Okay, so you have, because the first time I went to Egypt, I did a very short, abbreviated 5 days.
Yeah.
And the second time I went, I was like, wow, I missed so much, because there's so much to see. And it's all amazing. But yeah, our Sacred Mysteries of Egypt tour, we try to make this as inclusive of all the main sites that you would want to see. So you're definitely going to get your money's worth. And believe me, I just got through traveling to Egypt on a research tour with another author. And let me tell you, you're getting the best price that you can really get on a tour of Egypt is what we're offering. It's really a great deal. So you're going to have a lot of knowledge and understanding, but you're also getting it at a very, very economic price. So Scott, you took this picture.
I took that first one. It's one of my favorite pictures I got while I was in Egypt. I have several of them. I just kind of plucked that one out, and I love this because it shows the desert, and then you can barely start to see where the city and the civilization, the population would be, but because it's right on the edge. But you will go back in time, you'll see people traveling using all kinds of animals to get around on. They'll mix with the traffic in the streets. It's one of the coolest cultural experiences I've had as being in Egypt, and I love this picture.
This is an iconic picture of both on the Giza Plateau of both the Sphinx and the Middle Pyramid. There is what we're seeing, and it's a really cool picture. But the picture on the right is how I saw it just recently, a couple of weeks ago, and they were having a very unusual sandstorm. But this was at sunset, and just that dusky gray imaging, because usually you see the Sphinx and the pyramid, and it's sunny and it's beautiful skies and it's warm, sometimes hot. But in that picture, it just kind of gave a whole different feel to that Giza Plateau. But the Giza Plateau is just an amazing, it's where we're going to be starting our tour, is getting to that place, because this is where the mysteries begin. I mean, we have the head of what we think is the pharaoh, but yet you're going to be learning about the female lion goddess that Sphinx most likely represents, and why she's facing the direction she's facing, and who she lines up with on the sky during the vernal equinox. And so all of these buildings, they're not haphazardly placed randomly on the earth. They actually line up. They line up with star alignments, with solar alignments, and the Sphinx itself is lined up for the vernal equinox. So we just got through, we were there at the Giza Plateau on the vernal equinox, which was March 20th, and we were there when Aries is at 0 degrees. And that's like it's the equal time of day and night. And anciently, all of those cultures that lived on the planet at that time understood the importance of light and darkness and what it meant to their society, whether they were planting crops or watching for the seasons to change and things like that. So we've kind of lost that in our modern world, but the Giza Plateau is just really rich with that. And I do want to let you know, you will get to be inside of the big pyramid. If that's something that you want to do, you'll have that opportunity.
I love going in. I've been inside that twice. It's a bit, it can be warm sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're, you know, kind of bent over. And it can be, I guess, a bit claustrophobic if that's an issue. But let me tell you, to get into what they call the King's Chamber, which I know Kris has a lot of information on what's inside there and what the sarcophagus really is and all that kind of stuff. But it is absolutely amazing to go inside the Great Pyramid. It was one of my bucket lists, and I was not disappointed.
Yeah, it's very fun. You'll love it. All right, Jill. Oh, there we go. Okay, there's another side view again. We've got the Sphinx and the pyramid in the background, but this is most likely the view you'll be seeing when you go there, because you're viewing it from a platform. So again, that's part of the Giza Plaza. And every trip to Egypt has got to have a camel ride, right, Scott?
Absolutely.
So we give you that opportunity.
It was a pretty lengthy ride we had. It was pretty fun. I really enjoyed it. And we were right out there by the pyramids. It was incredible.
You'll get some iconic pictures that you'll enjoy it. It'll be a highlight of your tour. Okay, so this is Saqqara, which is outside of Cairo, and it's still within viewing distance of the Giza Plateau. So you can see if the sky is clear enough, if you look in the direction going, I believe, north, you'll be able to see the three pyramids. But this is what is called the Step Pyramid, and it is considered to be one of the oldest pyramids that is in Egypt.
This was on my bucket list, and I was so glad that Legacy set this up to get to this pyramid, because even though it's not that far away, most tour groups don't get to this particular pyramid. It's kind of a specialty, but it is absolutely amazing. You can see, I think in this picture, there's only a couple of people that are up close. So it's just an amazing, and that's the particular day we could see the pyramid, the Giza pyramid.
You could, okay.
Yeah. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And we had to get up on a little platform to look over and kind of see it. But yeah, this is supposed to be one of the most ancient of ancient pyramids.
Then behind the pyramid, did you see the little keyhole to look at Dozier?
I don't remember that.
Okay, so there's a place to look in, and it has to do with, we'll get into this on the tour, but the Egyptians have this belief of the Ba and the Ka, and your spirit needs to come back and remember who you are. And so that's what they're doing with some of their burial funerary things that they do, is they're trying to have things that are present so that your spirit remembers who you are. Okay, when that comes back for the body. And so there's a place behind that pyramid. We'll show you that when we get there, but you can actually look in. There's peepholes where you can look in and you see a statue of Dozier, because he has to sit there so he can be reunited again with that Ba. And then the other thing that's very, very cool about Saqqara is the tomb of Unas. And the tomb of Unas is where we get the pyramid text, because there's actual, you'll see this in a lot of enclosures, pyramids and tombs. You've got actual writings and temples, carved hieroglyphs, right? And you'll have that out in Unas in his tomb, but his tomb, which is made out of alabaster, which is a very symbolic stone to be using in your tomb. Again, we'll get into all of this more when we're in Egypt, but he talks about ascension experiences, about a sort of resurrection. And a lot of times people think, well, that's going to be after you die. But the Egyptians were able to have visionary ascension experiences while they were alive. And it's written in Unis's tomb. It's very, very cool.
Wow.
So you'll get a chance to see that as well. So Saqqara is a really significant place to visit. This is a bucket list item. If you have not had a chance to take a cruise on the Nile, then you are missing out, because there's nothing more enjoyable and relaxing and informative and fun to do than take a cruise along the Nile. And so that's not necessarily the ship we were on, but that's about the size of ship that we cruise on. But we all cruise on for a 3-day period along the Nile as we visit some of the temples that are located. And of course, it's just like any other civilization. You're going to have the temple structures that are very important to the community. They're going to be close to the river, where there's lots of transportation going up and down from the upper kingdom to the lower kingdom. That Nile River was a big waterway, and it still is today.
Cruise is so amazing because, you know, we all just watched the 10 Commandments probably last week. And you see baby Moses in the little basket in the reeds along the Nile. And yeah, we're watching Hollywood from the 1950s. But when you float the Nile and you see the reeds on the shore, and you picture everything taking place, it really is. It just brings it to life. It brings us the Bible stories to life when you see these kind of things. And it was probably one of the funnest things that Sue and I did when we did the Nile cruise. They did dancing at night. I'm not much of a dancer, but I actually participated. It was pretty fun, and the food is amazing. Now, I should mention, you got to be a little careful what you eat and drink in Egypt. It's probably something that we could talk about at some point, but you just have to be careful. But these Nile cruises are, first off, they give you access to some of the most amazing sights. But the sunsets on the Nile are some of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen.
It's true. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
Okay, Abu Simbel. You've been there, right, Scott?
I don't think I have. I want to go there.
Okay, this is so amazing. This is one of my favorite visits because anciently, when it was originally built, Ramses II is the pharaoh that builds this monumental, and that's Ramses sitting in those 4 columns, those 4 pharaohs. And it's so spectacular because it's so enormous. This is his temple. And then next door to it, Nefertari, his wife, the most beautiful wife, she has her own temple. But this has an actual solar alignment into the sanctuary of the 4. It's Ptah, Harakati Ra, Amun, and Ramses, I believe, is who's in there. And we have timed this so that we'll be able to see that solar alignment.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Where's this located? Where is this?
It's very, very close to the Sudan border. So you're at the furthest most southern place. Yeah. And it's a little bit of a journey to get out there. And it's well worth it, though, because you'll get to have an opportunity, because there's solar alignments at different sites, whether it's Stonehenge, whether it's Serpent Mound in the US. They're all over the globe, but to be able to be there when they're designed for that particular alignment is pretty remarkable. And what's even more remarkable is this temple was moved. Okay, because in the Upper Egypt area, they created a dam. They have the Aswan Dam, and it flooded the area where this temple was originally built. And so it had to be moved. Okay. And that's an astronomical feat in and of itself. In modern world, they did that. They moved it, but they made sure when they moved it, it still stayed and had that solar alignment, which lines up with the Pharaoh's birthday and with his coronation date. That's when the solar alignment hits. So it's not a solar alignment in regards to a sacred site that has significance to the heavens and to the gods in the heavens, okay? Because it's a pharaoh that's building it, okay? And so he's kind of putting the limelight on himself, so to speak. But it's still amazing to be able to witness a solar alignment for whatever reason, because the engineering and the way they would have had to build that and how they understood to build that to get that alignment is phenomenal. It's just mind blowing. So you'll get to see that.
I can't wait.
Okay, and this is Dendera. And this will be a site that we will go to. I believe it's either on the last day of our cruise or we get off the cruise ship and we go to Dendera. I'm trying to remember exactly, but it's more it's it's more towards Lower Egypt. But honestly, this is an amazing place. You would call this the University of the Divine Feminine. Okay. Every single piece of this structure is dedicated to the energy of the female. It's dedicated to the goddess Hathor, which, if you were to kind of compare her into our theology, she would be our Heavenly Mother. She is the Heavenly Mother persona in the Egyptian world. She's known as Hathor. And so we'll be going in to that site and sharing all of these amazing things that tie into the female, to the divine feminine, to the woman being able to have children, to carry children. How on the ceilings they have the menstrual cycle is kind of carved into the ceilings that ties into the lunar cycle, and it's amazing. And so this is a really, really important site for us to visit, because for women in particular, so much of the divine feminine has been removed and destroyed. And you'll see this when you get to the temple sites, that some of these faces, as Jill has just changed the photo, she's etched out, because the church would hire, I don't know if mercenary is quite the right word, but they would hire people to go and try to just get rid of this theology that didn't fit their narrative. And so it's happened all over the world. I mean, it happened in Europe when you've got new rulers between the Protestants and the Catholics, and they go in and get rid of, cut off heads of statues because they're trying to erase, they're trying to cancel. That's happening in ancient Egypt as well. And when they wanted to get rid of the divine feminine, they had to erase Hathor. And that's what you'll see when you go to her temple now, is her face is scratched out, so to speak.
Is this her face here? Oh, whoops, on that back, right there. Is that her face there?
Yes.
That's her.
Yeah.
And that's inside that.
That's inside, and every pillar on each direction has that head and that face.
Dang.
And she's got the face right now. She's got the ears of a cow, because this ties into the time of, we talked about how old are these sites. Well, this is in the year of Taurus during the precessional equinox. And Taurus is the constellation that is up above in the heavens. And so that's when they worship and sacrifice the bull. And the female is the cow. And so she takes on the representation of a cow with the cow's ear. We're going to get into a little bit deeper representation of what that face, another layer of what that face is when we get there in person. But there's so much imagery and connection to to female, to reproduction, to the fertility, the ability and the gift that women have to give life, to create life. It is so sacred, and they understood that in this old Egyptian um, theology, and they honored it. I mean, they're building an entire temple to honor that. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
I took this picture. I don't even know what it is. I just thought it was so cool, but it's either in Luxor or
Okay.
Karnak. I can't remember.
Okay, so it could be in, yeah, it's a pharaoh, and again, half the face is chiseled off. But yeah, it's a pharaoh. It's probably at Luxor.
I think so. I think it was Luxor.
Yeah. And when we get to Luxor, there's some amazing temples that you will be going into that and again, you're going to get more information, but there's one in particular that totally matches the design of the human body, the way the temple is laid out and created. And the Holy of Holies is the pineal gland. I mean, it's so amazing what these Egyptians understood about who we are as humans and how we connect to the heavens. And you're going to be able to learn about that and see more of that when we're there.
This one here is down by
It's
the
at,
Nile,
it's
getting
at,
off the ship, the boat that we were on. And then we got into these carts and we went in and discovered the temple at night with the lights. It was the most incredible thing. It was just amazing.
yeah, so you're going to have a few different forms of transportation when you're on this trip, and you'll go from bus to cruise ship to what carriage, one horse carriage.
Yeah.
And it's what makes it the experience, because as Scott mentioned earlier, the traffic, and you're 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 in this traffic that's just moving, and the people that live there know how to get through it, and they don't stop for people. Okay, people don't have the right of way, humans. Okay, and so, but people learn to go through the traffic. They learn how to do that. But you'll go along, and then all of a sudden there'll be a donkey pulling a cart of hay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right on the road with everyone else, and or a young boy riding a donkey with his young brother or whatever, and it's great. It's such a fun experience. Those are just a few highlights of what you're going to be seeing. And again, there's much, much more. And I do want to give you, we have, in fact, while I was in Egypt last week, I reached out. Shireen Toussaint will be our guide this year. And I've worked with Shireen a couple of times, and she's great. She's on page with a lot of things that I like to talk about and point out. Even when we get into the Pharaoh, the Exodus Pharaoh, who's really the Pharaoh that was uh, involved with the scriptures. But I think what's really interesting is when you get into Egypt and into the Holy Land there, that is where the Bible really gels, because they have the dates, and they have the artifacts that totally tie into what is written in the Bible. Did you find that, Scott?
Yeah, there was one instance where it talked about a battle in the what we would call the Armageddon Valley, or the Jezreel Valley, and it described the battle there. We have the scriptural, the biblical account of it. Then we have the Egyptian account of it. It's just amazing. And then the old Cairo village there that is there to commemorate where the Holy Family came to escape Herod. The geography of that would put that as the actual site. I mean, the way the alignment would be in traveling from Israel to Egypt, it kind of funnels you. And right where you would come is where this old Cairo is. And it's been venerated over and over and over again, where you have these tells, different structures built on top of other structures. So you could actually feel pretty confident that this is where the Holy Family was. And for me, it was one of the highlights of this last trip that Jill and I were on, because it really does tie in Egypt, the land of Egypt, in so many different ways. But when we go back to Abraham, I've got an old book, and I just was reading it the other day. It's from some professors at BYU. I can't remember. It's old. It's an old book, but it suggests that Abraham was the architect of the Great Pyramid. And it's really, really interesting. It's a commentary on the Pearl of Great Price. We tie in Abraham. We tie in, of course, Joseph, and then we tie in Moses. And then those are all pointing towards the Savior. And we have prophecies of the Savior that he will come out of Egypt. And this is literally where he came out of, where he grew up and then came out of Egypt. And so for me, I don't know what's going to happen in Israel, but I feel pretty confident that we're going to be traveling to Egypt. And so this is the connection and actually part of the Holy Land.
I just recently, in fact, last Thursday, I was in Egypt. Okay, so just a week ago, and was there for 2.5 weeks, and did a lot of land travel between Cairo and Luxor, exploring some other areas that I've not seen before in Egypt. And I will tell you, we were totally fine. In fact, you kind of again, when you travel, you get disconnected from the world because you're not connected to a news source. And believe me, Wi-Fi in Egypt is not it's not 5G. Okay. There's a lot to be desired, even at the hotel properties and whatnot. So you kind of end up being really disconnected from all the stuff. But I've traveled there since 2009. The security has always been excellent. Whether it was 2009 when Mubarak was in control of the country, and since then when Sisi, you really don't have anything to worry about, because they have been really good about keeping their borders secure, and they have been really good about trying to keep the Muslim Brotherhood out of their country. That's something that they were very that was important to them, and that's why they had a coup a few years ago and had Sisi, the current I don't know if he's a prime minister. I'm not sure what they call him. But anyway, yeah, you don't need to worry about that, you know. So I felt totally safe. Like I said, I've traveled there 4 other times, and there wasn't anything more unusual than what we were having with security that we haven't had before in the past.
That's awesome to hear. And we had the same experience when we went. When did we go, Jill? Was it?
Yeah, November.
You were
November of
November.
last year. Yeah.
November.
October.
Yeah.
The other things I hope we're going to do is be stopping at some places where you can, purchase some things that are so unique to Egypt. Papyra, where they are we gonna do that? I should have asked you first. Are we gonna stop at some of those places?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they'll have an opportunity to buy papyrus. Yeah.
And other unique things. I'm a collector. I love stuff. In fact, I'm kind of surrounded by things from the Middle East here, and where I'm in my little office here, and so you'll have opportunities. You don't have to, buy or anything, but it does bless the people there. But it's really fun to see families and individuals creating and making things. The alabaster jars and things. We talk about that in scripture, the anointing jars, the oils, all this kind of stuff. It's pretty cool.
We have held off on a group airfare. Some have been wanting to continue on to Israel. So if that happens, then your flight would be different. But otherwise, flights would be in and out of Cairo and pretty simple. There is an internal flight. Kris mentioned lots of transportation, and it's true. Besides the cruise and the cart and the bus, we'll also have a flight from Cairo down to Luxor or to Aswan and then back up. But we take care of that, and that's just included with the tour. Then there should be an opportunity for a hot air balloon ride if anyone is interested in Luxor. Did they offer that last time?
We offer it, yes, because we're there 2 nights, so it allows for 1 morning for those that want to do the hot air balloon ride. So it takes you over the Valley of the Kings. So it's a very iconic place to be floating over. Okay. And so, by the time of year that we're going, like, it was interesting. I was just there at the Valley of the Kings last week and they were having rain. They had, it never rains in Egypt. And they had all these big thunder clouds and this heavy overcast. And I thought, well, this wouldn't have been a good balloon ride day, And so it's good to know you don't have to book that way in advance. You just book that like a day or 2 before. But we'll be able to watch the weather. But I was so surprised because normally Egypt is just sunny and hot.
Sue's favorite place is the Valley of the Kings. And she couldn't make it tonight. She feels bad. She really wanted to be here, but she loves the Valley of the Kings. It's stark, but there's a beauty to it that is, and then just thinking of Dr. Carter and opening up that, Tutankhamun's tomb and thinking about all those things. And some of those hallways that go towards the tomb are some of the most spectacular hieroglyphs, beautiful, preserved. It's an incredible place, the Valley of the Kings.
Yeah, so that is one of the other sites that we'll be going to. Maybe we can open it up to questions for a minute or 2.
Yeah.
You can raise your hand and unmute, or you can type it in the chat.
Egypt is one area where you do have to have bottled water to brush your teeth. Okay. And you will want to make sure that you're always drinking purified water, because it's not so much that their water is bad. It's just it's got different bacteria that we're not used to. Okay. And so you'll want to make sure that you travel with some medication that could help you if you were to get we were calling it mummy tummy. Okay. If you get a little mummy tummy over there, but the more you can avoid, anything that's associated with the water, that includes ice cubes. I just play it safe. I've gotten, not even in Egypt, I got sick with not their bottled water, their underground water in Jordan, with having just a cup of tea. Okay. And that hit several of us on the tour. Okay. So you just have to realize you might avoid certain things just during that period of travel, if you don't know for sure that they've got purified water that they're heating up and that sort of thing. And again, we'll know when we go to our hotels what they'll tell us and on the ship and that, but it is something you have to just be aware of. You don't want to brush your teeth with that water.
Yeah, and fresh fruits and vegetables, if you can't peel it, I would avoid it because it's probably been washed with their water, and like Kris said, our tummies just aren't used to that. So yeah, it's just something to be careful with. No big deal.
Okay. Was there a question?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we're wondering if we need vaccinations, visas, that kind of thing. And then also what you are thinking about airfare for the group?
So there are no vaccinations that are required for travel to Egypt. And the visas, they are taken care of at the airport, but they're not, are they? Let me see. I've got.
You don't
Yeah,
have to go online like you do in Israel and get it.
No, they meet us at the airport
Yeah.
and hand us the visas, and it's included with the trip.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
so if the airfare round trip Cairo should be fairly simple. Delta has a great flight, Paris, Salt Lake to Paris, and then Paris to Cairo. It does get us in the middle of the night, and we anticipate that and have some time the next day to recuperate. If you're not coming from Salt Lake, then it's possible to meet us in Paris and then continue with the group to Cairo. I will get a group quote. I haven't done that yet. Kind of been waiting for gas prices, hopefully, to go down a little bit. Never know. But we will definitely help coordinate any flights if you have questions or would like help on that.
Is it Julianne has a question, I think?
Yes, I do. I have a couple of them. So I was looking with Chris online for flights. So if do we all fly together, or if I went in a day early, went to Paris and spent the day there and then flew into Cairo or wherever is the first destination, would that be acceptable?
Excuse me. Absolutely. We often have guests that do that. We had someone, our last group, that had spent some time in Paris, so we met up with them, and also that arrive early. We just let the hotel know, and the tour supplier we work with, that you're coming early, and they'll arrange for transfers and help you and get you the extra night at the hotel. So yes, that is very doable.
And then my other question was, is there a list of what's included with the price, like the meals, the transportation, the get into the exhibits, whatever else, and like if what's optional and on our own as far as balloon rides? I'm just throwing things out that I've heard you say.
Yeah, we'll send our website lists.
Yeah, the
that are
website
included
has
and
has
are
a
not
lot of that.
included.
Yeah.
But it is easy. Breakfast and dinner buffets are included every day. So the only meal that you're on your own is lunch. And sometimes you need to just bring some snacks because you don't have time, or there's not availability of lunch. The cruise does have lunch. So
Yeah, the cruise gets a little bit more standard with
Meals.
having a lunch for us, but a lot of times when we're doing our sites, when we're visiting sites, you don't always have access to a sit down. You're in Egypt. You just got to realize we're not in America, and there aren't restaurants necessarily that we would go to that are close by. And so it's always good. I'm going to recommend everybody to bring some of their own travel food. Okay. So protein bars, beef jerky, things like that you can take, because some days, and believe me, I just got off a trip where they gave us 3 meals a day, and I could not eat 3 meals a day. It was so much food. And so I was just skipping a meal once a day. I only ate 2 meals a day. And so we have breakfast and dinner. On the cruise, you will get lunch as well. But sometimes during the day, if we find a good spot, you're there to see the sights, and I would much rather have you spend more time at sites and seeing and learning versus the time it takes for a group to go sit down and have lunch.
Oh,
Okay.
granted, yes, but I just,
Yeah.
just want to make sure, like, and I eat different, so, and I always pack food, but I just am curious what's included in the price. So I'll go through and look at that. And then, the other question, you said we don't need the visas, so that's good. So, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, the only yes, definitely look at the website, but off the top of my head, it really is that balloon ride and maybe an extra tomb if you wanted to purchase. I think some of us chose to buy a ticket to see King Tut's tomb, even though there's nothing in it. There are paintings.
Yeah.
Anyway, and his mummy. But
And his daddy?
his
His
mummy.
mommy and his
Oh
daddy.
no, sorry.
His
That was a
mommy
good
and
one.
his daddy.
Yeah.
That was good. I like that.
Everything else is included, all those temples and entrance sites. Yeah, are things that are included.
So if you want to go to King Tut, is that out of the realm of where you're taking us, or is that something?
No,
No, it's in
it's
the
right
valley.
there.
It's there. It's in the Valley of the Kings.
And so there's time to go do that.
Yep.
And then the balloon ride, is that on a specific day, or is that something you have to say, okay, I will omit going with you here to go on a balloon?
No, you don't,
early
you won't
morning.
miss anything on the tour because when you do the balloon ride, you are doing that at dawn.
Oh,
Okay, so
gotcha.
when everyone else is asleep, you're gonna be getting up early and taking a little ride out to wherever they meet for the balloon ride. And so you'll meet up with us a little bit after breakfast. We'll have probably like a to-go breakfast for that morning for people that do balloon ride. But you won't miss anything during the day because you
Okay.
go early in the morning.
And then do you have prices on the balloon rides, the camel rides?
It's like about, I think the balloon rides are 150. That's
Yeah,
what it
they-
was the last time.
And then is the camel ride in the cost of the tour, or is that an additional?
The camel ride is included, tip is not. So
Okay.
they'll explain tipping because it's complicated, and I shouldn't say that's not complicated, it's just very, very much expected. But you'll just need $5 for your tip for your camel driver. But the actual trip ride is included.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
One thing to be aware of is you don't need Egyptian money when you travel to Egypt. I always take dollars, but you're going to take lots of ones, lots of fives, lots of tens, and 20s. Okay. And so, because it's easier, if you pay with dollars, they're not going to give you dollar back in change. So you don't want to give somebody $100 because you're going to get a bunch of Egyptian money back.
Right.
Okay. And so the only thing like recently, like what I did, once I got over there, because I can take my American money back home, I went ahead and got Egyptian pounds once I was over there to do tips for the driver, for Shireen, the ones that are going to want Egyptian money. Okay. Because then they don't have to go and do all the dollar exchange. That's just something I did, but you don't have to because they'll take dollars.
Right.
Okay. So you don't have to go to the bank and try to get Egyptian money. You'll just go ahead and use dollars, but just be bringing smaller denominations. It'll be easier for you, especially if you want to shop and do some bartering. It's just a lot easier to just be pulling out small
Right.
bills to pay for things.
Kind of the same as we've done on the other trips. So,
Exactly.
Yeah. And of course, tips are not, tips are not included in the cost of the tour. So there'll be, tips. We'll have this emailed out, but there's tips for the driver, for Shireen, for Scott, with, the content and stuff that's going to be shared. Okay. So,
So your small change money bills, how much do you recommend in taking on that?
Recommend 250 per person as a ballpark. We definitely have people come back and tell us that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So if like Kris says, it really can be a personal thing, but the biggest advantage is because it's US dollars. You're not worried about bringing home euros or something that can't be spent. So my recommendation is take more than you think, and it's cash. I mean, you do have to keep track of it, and you don't want to have it, left in, in the pockets where people can get to and all that. But having, take as much as you think, and then maybe a little more.
The other thing too is if you have bigger purchases, just use your credit card. I've never had an issue ever.
True.
The exchange is all done, handled, and the way you go. And quite often, in fact, I can't remember if I did in Egypt. I know I did in Jordan. I had stuff shipped, and one item beat me home. So
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah,
lot of options, but for the
yeah, the
smaller
only-
stuff, yeah,
Yeah.
dollar bills, fives, and I'd say $300 probably.
Yeah. And there are, yes, especially the shops that we take you to for the hieroglyphs, the papyrus, the jewelry, things like that. Those,
card.
you're going to be fine with the credit card for sure. But it's just the street vendors and things
Yeah.
like that. You're going to want to not do that. And
Good-
that's why
good-
you'll want the
Yeah,
small bills and things like that. And
Yep.
then of course there's ATMs. So a lot of people ended up just getting Egyptian pounds when it was time to pay for their balloon ride. We just made a stop and they went and got their money for the balloon ride. So you're not going to run out of money over there, but if you want to not have to worry about, they'll put a limit on how much you can take out at one time. And so it can take a bit of time if you're, oh, I've got to do this again. I've got to do this again. And people are lining up. And so it's just nice to not have to worry about that. But yeah, you'll be doing some credit card, but just realize you don't have to get pounds before you leave.
And you probably already said how much
Mhm.
the balloon ride is, just so I get a gauge of like camel ride, balloon ride, all the
150.
excess. 150 for the balloon ride, and then
That's what it
camel
was the last time I was there. It was 150.
and the camel ride and going into Tut, that kind of stuff. So if you're only saying $300, but then you want to go on extra expeditions, then just knowing how much, I guess each one would be nice.
Additional 20. Does that sound right, Scott?
no, I think so. Yeah, it wasn't very much.
The other thing we didn't mention, the gem, the greatest
yes.
Egyptian museum. It's the biggest museum of this kind in the world. It's finally open. Okay, because I had been traveling there since 2009 and they talked about this museum. It took them 20 years to get it built, and they've done such an amazing job. And a woman from Ireland, Celtic, she's the architect that won the bid to do this building, and it's just full of this sacred geometry. And they incorporated the pyramids of Giza on the plaza into the architecture of the structure of the gem. And so there's these huge windows that will open up, and so here you are looking at these ancient artifacts inside the museum as you look out and look at the pyramids. It's spectacular. And they've really done a beautiful job. They have restaurants inside. They have shops. There's lots of fun shopping inside the museum. It's really a treat to go there. In
And
fact,
is that something we do as part of the trip?
yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so it's included.
Yep. We'll go there together.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
I think that's day 3 on our itinerary. Everything on our itinerary is on the website, legacytours.com, and it lists what we'll see. Oh, it's day 4. Day 4 is when we go to the gym. So this will be fun because Scott hasn't seen it, and it's amazing. It's worth a trip to Egypt just to see the gem. They've done such a good job.
It's kind of like a mall.
No,
It's just a
it's a museum, but they've just included some.
Oh,
You didn't get to the old Cairo museum.
I
Those
love
of
the
us-
old Cairo Museum because
I
I like
know.
the smell of old places, and that place was old. And it was
No air.
it's so iconic, But
It was the old Cairo museum. No
Yeah.
air conditioning. Very dusty.
yep.
Um, very old stuff that looked like it was in old surroundings.
That's right.
And so it's just, this new museum is just beautiful. So it's been a long time coming. I mean, we've been waiting for years for this to be open. So it's great that you guys will be able to see it.
So how many are you planning on having in our group?
Up to 30.
Okay.
Is it just legacytours.com? Because when I go
Legacy Tours and Travel.com.
wow, okay. Thank you.
If you're on our email list, we'll be sending out a recording of this and with the link to the website and more information about the tour. If you're not already on the website, please either add your email or
get your deposit. I think Julianne might need to just get registered. I don't think she's got a deposit. Then she'll be on the email list. And
Yeah. So is there a link on the website for that?
yes.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'm on there,
Yep.
so I'll find it.
Okay. And it's 8:02. So we're
Yeah.
I think ready to wrap up. Are there any last minute questions? There are definitely more things to be covered, but this isn't the place for it. When we get closer, we hold another meeting like this, and we review travel and packing and lots of more detailed information. But I hopefully this gave you a little sample of what what you'd be able to see when you go to Egypt. And it's not, like we've said, not just the pyramids. There's a lot more.
Yeah.
And we also have a referral program where if you have other friends or family members that may want to join you in Egypt and you refer them to us, you'll get a $25 discount off the cost of your tour.
Yep. So let us know if you sign up and then you've got a friend, just give us the name or have them tell us your name if they're the referral, and we'll get that added.
All right. Thanks for joining us tonight.